Do they say about you, Sheriff, that you're men profile? Do they say that about some of the judges in this room? They were saying it about us. Maybe it's just Wilmington. But you know what I said? I said, let's talk about stuff that's hard to fake, like murder. Because my strong belief is the biggest victims of crime come from these neighborhoods too. You know who's under the blanket in Wilmington, and I bet in Charlotte? A young, poor African-American man, the vast majority of times. In fact, in Wilmington, of my 32 pending murder cases, 28% of the victims were young, poor, and black. And so when I said that to him, I said, maybe we have to think of it differently. Maybe we need to give the folks in these neighborhoods a shot, not look at them as criminals, but as people who are going to grow up and be great contributing members of our society, but not if we continue with the same mindset. Here's your joke. I don't know what your reality is, but I bet the perception is. Because if we're talking about getting to 0 to 5 right now, we're not talking about my kids. We're talking about the kids of the people in jail right now. And if there is simmering underneath the surface a mistrust of established power, and that's in this room right now, then a lot of what we could talk about to really break that down is to have a sincere conversation about race and justice. We started a community-based forum called The History of Wilmington in Black and White, brought in, again, the pastors. This guy right here, he ended the call-in. Said, this isn't about black and white. These aren't black children or white children dying in the streets of Wilmington. They're God's children. And when we've had the officer-related shootings that brought up all the issues that I know you guys deal with too, we have the pastors out in front saying, everyone wants the same thing. We all want justice. If you want social justice, what you have to remember about this issue with dealing with our most vulnerable members of society, 0 to 5, is it's not just about punishing people who have done something bad. It's about uplifting the poor and the oppressed. And that's education for the poor. Now, I was told that I'm kind of an unexpected messenger for this. Let me tell you something. What we started right after the expungement law came into the books a year ago is we turned to people who we prosecuted and said, if you're eligible, we're going to be the ones to get your record cleaned. And you know why we did that? Because you can't live in public housing with your family if you've got that record. You can't get a job with that scarlet letter around your neck. And if you've been clean for 15 years, welcome back to society. Because you know what? I want you raising your kids. I don't want to be the one doing that. Yeah, I know we're not church, but it's okay. It doesn't hurt me to say it. Because when you do that, when you build that trust, again, what we're trying to do is not raise the children. We're trying to get the families to raise the children. And if we're going to be sincere in that effort, we have to give oxygen to the folks who are really struggling with intergenerational poverty. That's what this issue is really all about. It's just like being in an airport. You know, when that flight attendant says, put the mask on yourself before the kids, it's not because they're choosing the parents over kids. It's you can't help your kids if you're passed out. And so building up the people that are in your caseloads right now and building that trust back is where we need to be with the 0 to 5 discussion in the court system. I'll end by saying this. We also got a job program coming that, again, I brought John Monteith. I wish I could play the video right now. I know our time is short. We reached out to the public officials on the Blue Ribbon Commission, reached out to the private sector. No photo op, no gimmicky thing. We said, hire just one person who has gone through this expungement process. Hire a person that Smart Start says they're raising 7 kids in their family, and a $35,000 a year job would be like $250,000 for a lot of you listening right now. We're not talking now about a handout, we're talking about a chance. We're talking about a handout. And our challenge is, and you're invited September 16th to see our first 9 months of this. If you want to come, any of you, to come and see what we're doing in Wilmington, we're going to have a party to celebrate what we've done, just as a quiet group of folks, putting people back to work with this issue. Because again, if we're going to get to 0 to 5 and to really change the arc of history moving forward, it's about empowering the parents who are raising the children that we're talking about. So if I had to do it all over again, I would do 4 things. First, I would absolutely do this Blue Ribbon Commission again. I know many of you already work together on things very similar to this, so if this is an affirmation, great. But again, being intentional about partnering with the different groups that all see the same issue is important. I would also continue to employ national best practices. I really love what